My name is Cass Wakefield, and I am an independent correspondent for the Hunt County Signal. For the last 12 videos, I have guided this channel's viewers and subscribers through trails most people are taught to step around. Unsolved cases that rest too quietly, local investigations that disappear too quickly, administrative failures dressed up as progress, historical facts buried in procedural language. But here's the thing. This was never just a series about Hunt County. If that's all it was, it would have ended by now. A few stories, a few names, a few things that didn't sit right. And then, on to something else. That's not what this is. What you've been watching is not a collection of incidents. It's a pattern. Over the last 12 videos, you've seen pieces of it from different angles. You've seen how a record can fail and take decades to correct. You've seen what it looks like when a person disappears and the timeline never closes. You've seen a case that stays visible long enough to generate explanation, but never stable enough to resolve. You've seen what happens when authority drifts inside a system that still looks intact from the outside. You've seen how a place can remain on the map and still lose its position at the center of things. You've seen what it looks like when the ground itself has to be treated like evidence. And you've seen how a system keeps its surface clean, not by removing what's underneath it, but by making sure something brighter is always in front of it. Those are not separate stories. They are expressions of the same system. Different conditions, same behavior, different outcomes, same structure. That's the part most people miss. Because when you look at each piece on its own, it feels isolated, unfortunate, complicated, difficult to fully explain. But when you step back and look at all of them together, something else becomes visible. Consistency. Not in the details, in the response, in the way pressure is handled, in the way attention moves, in the way silence forms, in the way things are allowed to continue. That's what this has been about. Not proving that something is wrong, showing you how it works when it is. And once you see that in one place, you start seeing it in others. Not exactly the same, not identical, but familiar. A pattern in how records behave, a pattern in how institutions respond, a pattern in how memory is managed, a pattern in what gets carried forward and what doesn't. That's when it stops being local. That's when it becomes something else. Everything you've seen here is part of a larger framework, a way of understanding how systems behave under pressure, how they adapt, how they stabilize, how they present themselves, and how they continue. That full framework is laid out in the silence doctrine. Smoke over Hunt County. If what you've seen here made sense to you, if it felt familiar in ways you couldn't quite explain before, that's where the rest of it is. Not just the stories, the structure behind them, because up to now we've been looking at one county, one set of examples, one environment where these patterns are easy to see once you know what to look for. That's about to change, because once you understand how this works, you don't stop at the county line. The signal doesn't stay contained. It shows up in other places, other systems, other institutions, other communities that look different on the surface, but move in ways that feel the same underneath. That's where this goes next. Not away from Hunt County, through it. Down Interstate 30 and out of it. Into the places where the same patterns are still operating. Just under different names. My name is Cass Wakefield, and this is the Hunt County Signal. If you've started noticing these patterns outside of Hunt County, leave it in the comments. Because once you see it, you don't unsee it, and it doesn't stop here.